she's found time to come and speak to us. So, Emily, would you like to say a few words to our wonderful workers?
Thank you. So, this is where the Labour Party is, isn't it? This is it. You know, this is the heart of us. We go out, we listen to what people say, we get ourselves educated, and we pass that information on. And we pass it on to council candidates and to our MPs and to our leadership team. Because in the end, no politician, no matter what level in the Labour Party we are, is too well informed not to continue to be educated by the public. So I want to start by saying thank you, because the work that you do in terms of learning from the public and passing that information on is absolutely the lifeblood of the party. And you look at the difference between us and the Tories and how they just don't listen. And you look at the way in which the general election was won, right? So they said that we were done for. They said that it would be the end of the Labour Party. They said that it was going to be a fatal blow, that we were in some sort of absolute crisis of identity. But in the end, despite the great role that Jeremy played in the general election, we know that the real star of our show was our manifesto. Because what counts in politics is what you're gonna do. And in order to know what it is that you're gonna do, you have to listen to it and you have to learn. And that is what was important. And what we were all as a party able to unite behind was a manifesto which came from the heart of the people, the heart of the Labour Party, to the heart of the public. And I genuinely believe if we'd had another week, we would have won that election. We would have won. And it took a bit of time for the public to start listening to us. My theory is that it was 10 days before the general election, and people suddenly started saying, what is it you're saying? Hang on a minute. I agree with that. Because in the end, the truth is, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be like this. There is an alternative, and that alternative is us. And we're not going to get that message out through the newspapers or from the television. We're going to get it out through people going out and speaking to their neighbours and their friends and talking about the alternative that's Labour. That's the hard work that needs doing. It's really difficult, at a time of austerity, when we have a government which is ideologically wedded to a failed economic idea, that you can just keep cutting back and somehow or other, as a result of keep cutting back, the economy is just going to spring up and be ever so strong all of a sudden. It's like we've got to cut back on services so that we can have a strong enough economy so that we can pay for services. It's nuts. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. It hasn't made any sense for years, but they are determined to keep pushing it through. We know that we have to invest in our infrastructure. We know that we have to borrow to invest in that infrastructure. We know, because we suffer it ourselves and our friends and neighbours suffer it, that we don't have enough affordable housing. How can it be you've got a Tory council here prepared to sell off all these parks in order to do what? I said, oh, okay, they're selling off all these parks. So how many social housing units is going to be? I said, oh, and Teresa said, it's 1,500 housing units. I said, Teresa, how many social housing units? None. When it comes to affordable housing in London, we know that means social housing. Otherwise it is not affordable. How can it be that a council that claims to represent the whole community is not prepared to build housing that people can afford? How can it be? It is wrong. It is wrong. And do you know what? Many people in this room are of the same generation as me. We're all right. We've bought our own homes. We're in social housing with safe tenancies. What about our kids? What about the next generation? We, the selfish generation, not prepared to build homes that are affordable for the next generation, to be able to give them some sort of hope. It is their world too. How dare we? How dare this council? How dare this council be selling off parks in order to build yet more luxury accommodation for those who do not need that assistance and are not prepared to help those that need it? And of course, again, this area knows that when Tories come round and they start campaigning and they start making promises, they don't deliver. What about that great campaign they ran in order to save the A&E? How's your A&E doing? How's that happened? Got a Tory government? It's their chance, isn't it? You have Boris down here campaigning to save the A&E. How did it go? They failed. And they've been in government for 7 years and they continue to fail. and they continue to cut back on the health service, and they continue to bleed it dry, and they continue to not value those in public service who serve our public and who are called to public service and who we really ought to value. You know, when things happen, you'll hear Tory politicians talking about how our great ambulance service, our wonderful NHS staff, how brave our police are. They don't pay them, they don't value them. They continue to want to keep squeezing them and squeezing living standards. We know the only way to get the economy going is to put money into it and to invest in the infrastructure. How can it be that in Teresa's constituency, which has the longest stretch of Thames, she hasn't got a single crossing? She hasn't even got a ski lift. You know, I mean, what was Boris doing? You know, all that time. Well, what was he doing in terms of infrastructure? He was talking about a garden bridge. He spent £42 million. Guess what he's talking about now? He spent £42 million on a garden bridge that didn't appear in London, and now he wants to build one all the way to France. You know, having burnt our bridges with 27 countries, he wants to build one to France over the biggest shipping lane, you know, in the whole of the world. I mean, this is nuts. We know it is. We know it's rubbish. And we know they have no ideas. And why don't they have any ideas? Because they don't have people like you. Because they don't have people like you listening to the public and feeding the ideas in and making sure that we are a truly democratic party. We also know, don't we, and we always knew it, but it kind of was confirmed during the general election. When we are united, when we stick together, when we remember that 99% of what we stand for, we all agree on, we may have a bit of differences around the edges. When we are a united party behind Jeremy Corbyn on a radical manifesto, there's no seat we can't win, there's no Tory we can't bin. We are a fighting force like no other. We are 600,000 members. That is our strength, and that's our promise, and that's why we're going to win the next general election, and that's why you're going to have some stonking results down here. So thank you. Thank you very much.